somebody sign for him. Get somebody.
All right, guys. Everybody, we are back, and this is going to be a great day today because Ron Grescher's microphone is not working, so he's going to use sign language. So we have got the same four back on. We got Ron Grescher muted, the great one and only Dave Maloney, Ron Duguay from his bedroom once again with his props. We've got his clean people at the house too, so we got some extra guests. And our mystery guest, yes, everybody, that is the great Eddie Johnstone, number 17 in the New York Rangers. Good to see you, Eddie. How are you doing?
Good, Ledge. How are you guys?
We're all good. Good to see you. I know over the last couple of years, we've had a chance to have an adult beverage when the alumni brought Eddie into Vancouver and a couple of the Western spots. It's good to see him. He's been in town too for the golf outings, so all good. Good to see you again.
Good to see everybody.
How's your
Eddie, it's Ron here. I just want to share with you, I've been doing a podcast for the New York Post with Larry Brooks, and a lot of conversation is our series back in 79 going to the Stanley Cup and even talking 77, 78. A lot of people are kind of like us reminiscing and talking about it, and your name comes up a lot on how the fans really appreciated how you play. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Well, I was really appreciative of the fans, the way they treated me. It was great. You know, I kind of had a reputation of working hard all the time, and I think that they really appreciated that, I think.
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with you're not the biggest guy on the ice, but you played like you're the biggest guy on the ice. You play with no fear, and you tackle some of the big heavyweights, and you played hard, and you're able to score goals. And then you and I, of course, and you're probably bitter with me. You haven't even shared that with me, but you end up in the tray with me going to Detroit. You and I have never, ever had that discussion. Were you upset going to Detroit, live in New York?
I was really surprised, really. You know, I'd had 81, 82. I had, you know, my best productive years in New York, and I really thought that's where I was going to finish. And then I ended up going with you and Eddie Mio, and you know, it was definitely a change. Got to play with a couple pretty good players. Stevie Eisman, he was just breaking in, and you know, then I got to play with Oatsy and Proby and those guys. It was good, but it was I had a few injuries there coming in, and it was kind of the beginning of the end.
Tommy, I'm sorry, I just went off. I know you wanted to start the show.
I've known you for a long time. It's always your show, so I'm used to it.
And listen, Tom, I'm in the bedroom here. I'm not on the dance floor, so you're good to go.
There you go. But I think, guys, what we want to do too, I know we're all quarantined and stuck away, and there's probably some loved ones or people around the world really want to say hello to. So everybody take a chance to give everybody a chance to say hello to whoever you want to say hello to. Eddie, you got anybody you want to say hello to? Jim
Finnery in New York, actually.
There you go.
Finn he owned the pub that we participated at quite a bit, and and I know he's a little under the weather right now, and just want to wish him the best.
Good. All right. Good job. Dukes, what about you?
Well, I am going to send some best wishes for someone that we all know, and he's not able to listen, but I want to think that we're all thinking about him, because I did a story on him yesterday, and that's Mark Pavlich.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Pav has gone through some difficult times, and he got himself a little bit of trouble, and then he's in a jail cell. I know that a lot of people have been thinking about praying for him, and I know Barry Beck has been speaking with him. So, you know, and when I think about what he's going through, it's probably really difficult, but it may be a blessing for him because he needed to get away from what he was doing. And so hopefully it'll all get resolved. He'll come out better for it. But Pavy was a great line mate for me, and he was a great teammate, and we all really loved him. And similar to Eddie, was a little guy who played big. And so we wish him well. I'm sure Dave and Gresh, I know you guys knew him well.
Yeah.
Also, as I did.
You, Dave, anybody you want to say hello to?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I have a daughter-in-law, Megan, who's a nurse at NYU in the city. So she's been on the front lines in probably ground zero, right, of things. And she's actually finishing up her graduate degree to become a nurse practitioner. So a lot of times in the pecking order, she's at the bottom end of the list, being the youngest in the crew, and she's persevered. It's been tough on all of them, but according to her, there is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and things seem to be flattening out. And my brother Bob's a doctor in Northern Ontario, in Sault Ste. Marie. So they've certainly haven't been hit quite as hard yet as some of the areas that, Gresh and Tommy and I in this area here are a little more exposed to. So those are a couple people. And then, every night we kind of go outside and acknowledge the medical workers. We have a hospital just down the street and stuff like that. So it's a different time, but boy, there's been a lot of people that have manned up over this thing. Yeah. And it looks like we're slowly but surely making a bit of a turn here.
Yeah, good. And the
Tom, is my mic working now?
Yes, the IT guru himself, Ron Gilbert. Anybody want to say hello to? Gresh, can you hear us?
Tom.
Can you hear us, Ron?
What?
Hey, I tell you.
Is my mic working now?
Yes,
Tom?
we can hear you, Ron. Yes, go. Yeah.
Take a big bite.
Okay, who do you want to say hello to? All right, so Ron's got his mic working so we can hear him, but he can't hear us apparently. So, all right, so I'm going to a big shout out to.
Great.
What? Okay, we're on the air, Ron. All right, guys, I think I'll say, and I know you guys want to chime in, and Dave, you touched on it too. We want to really give our thanks to all the first responders, and that includes doctors, nurses, paramedics, people working in the all of it. We're doing our job, I guess, but I think I can speak for everybody here that we wish we could be out there doing more, but our job really is to stay home and make sure we're not spreading the virus anywhere. So,
well, that's the thing, right? It's like most times, I think those of us have been around here long enough. 9/11 was an issue, and certainly Sandy, the storm, and it really everybody was, encouraged to get together, support one another physically, and be close to the ones that were close to you. And this one, the togetherness is apart, right? And it's a little bit of a different deal. But there's no question. I think I found in the scheme of things, again, it gives you pause to kind of readjust a little bit and think, hey, if you have your health, what else can you ask for? And here we are. We're sitting down here talking to one another, and we're doing what we have to do. But definitely. I couldn't agree with you more. So just shout out to all of them.
Definitely. Gresh, can you hear us?
I can't hear Tom now.
Who can you hear?
Gresh, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear Dave.
All right.
But I can't hear Baldy there.
Dave, go ahead and tell Gresh to say hello.
Dave,
who we want
can you hear me?
Hey, Gresh, can you hear me? This is Dave.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Why don't you give a shout out to anybody you want to say hello to, and then your thoughts on what's going on here now in this environment?
Well, I mean, what's going on around here is, when they say there's only 500 people dying a day now, that's not much of a relief of anything, and down from 800.
Yeah. All right.
From 800 a day, people are calling. What? Who's calling? Is that Tom calling me?
No.
Oh. And I just hope that it gets better, because I miss going to the garden. I miss going to the games. But, I haven't seen any of my family. Like my nephew Jeff and Chris live in Florida. And Greg and Becky and Madden and Miller live in Winnipeg. And my brother-in-law Don and Linda, my mom, live in Regina. And my kids live over here, Ashton, Jagger, Gia, and Georgia, and my ex-wife. They all live together. And Jagger's going to New Rochelle, to Iona right? Next year to play rugby. So he's trying to get in shape. He's got to get down from 350 to 290. Anyway, what color is your hair, Ed? Because
Holy smokes, Gresh. I haven't seen that. And
How come I can't hear Tom? I can hear Dave and Ron.
I set it up that way. All right, guys. So
You hear me, Gresh?
Eddie Johnstone, what year did you come to the Rangers?
I got drafted in
Can't hear you.
'74, and I ended up. I had a cup of coffee in '75 and '76, and then '77 probably was the first year.
Very
Who
cool.
set this up? Nicky Fatil?
What's that, Gresh?
hey, Eddie, you went to the World Hockey, right? You came
Yeah,
from
I started.
and then didn't you come to the Rangers partway through a season?
Yep, partway through. Well, I signed with them, and then they
Right.
sent me straight down. They sent me straight down to Providence.
Right.
Yeah.
Providence was nice in those days, right? In the mid 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we got some breaking news here. Only Rod Gilbert would have his cleaning lady in the bedroom while we're on a live show.
And only Rod Gilbert would have a cleaning lady to look like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
What's your cleaning lady's name there, Ron?
They'll say I have to say hi to everyone.
There we go.
How'd it go, Dukes?
I'll tell you, we have a cleaning lady too. She'll be here tomorrow. You don't want to see her.
Yeah.
I love her to death. She's not going to be on air.
So I just want to make sure everybody knows too. We invited you.
I'm going to go.
Ron can't. Ron's going to try again. So we
Where are you
invited
going,
Nick
Gresh?
Steele, just so you guys know. But Nick, he couldn't figure out how to turn the computer on, so he declined to get on with us today. So we're going to try to give him a little tutorial and get him on next week, maybe.
Yeah, I think he has one of those computers that's got little guys in there with flashcards.
Yeah. It's that big box that he's carrying. He's carrying that big box. A laptop for him is about that big box thing with the big.
That's how he gets him to do it because he scares the daylights out of him, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're all talk right now, and he can't hear us.
Yeah.
that's right.
But yeah, so I actually remember, Tom, when Eddie came because we were drafting the same year.
Yeah.
And then he went to the World Hockey, and I thought it was midway through a season where you either came or was signed, and then so it was good. It's good.
Yeah, and then I went straight to Providence, and halfway through the year, and that was kind of interesting. I get there, and they had first place wrapped up already, and it was January, and then we ended up losing to Springfield in the first round, but that was a start.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna see if Ron's with us now or not.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear us?
I don't want to.
But you
Hi,
can.
Gresh.
Do it. Eddie, you short little shit. What are you doing here?
Ron live TV. We're on live.
I know. I meant scratch that last shit.
Yeah. All right. Maybe you're
Is this
just
happy hour?
Hey, listen to me. It's going to be 5:30.
There you go.
But when Eddie played for the Verno Essos out in British Columbia in the BC Junior League,
Wow.
he was a pain in the ass then, and he was a pain in the ass when he got to the Rangers because were you playing for the Stags?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the cat coming to me, he goes, there was this guy that we drafted with the same age. Well, we were all drafted the same year, right, Dave?
Yeah, 74.
And he goes, Eddie Johnstone. I go, it's easier to play with him than against him
Thanks, Gresh.
because he's a pain in the ass.
Hey, Ron. We're on live right now, and some of the words that are kind of like the FCC kind of prohibits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Not a
Tom.
big deal.
Got you.
Not a big deal. We're fine.
Yeah.
So Eddie, where are you from originally? Are you an Albertan guy? You're not a BC.
No, I'm BC boy.
Oh, you are.
Yeah. Well, I was born in Manitoba, but I didn't stay there very long.
Right.
I left there when I was 2, and I've been in British Columbia ever since.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And how's your health and everything, Eddie? How you feeling?
What's that?
How's your health and everything? How's
Oh,
everything?
good. Everything's good right now. Yeah. I had a few issues a few years back, but it's all good.
You're too strong for them, right? They couldn't knock you down.
They tried.
Yeah. Good. That's the way.
My wife keeps me young.
There you
Good.
go.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Anniversary today.
Hey,
Wedding anniversary?
No, 15 years.
15 years
Wedding
married? Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I was married twice. It did a total 15 years. I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of 1, 2, 3. There's a lot of extra money going out.
Well, I'm on number 2.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, I don't
That's
think
enough.
there's any of us that haven't been there.
So Eddie, we talked last week? All of us talked a little bit about that run in 78, 79, right, Tom?
Yep.
And what are your memories, Eddie, and memories too of Freddie?
Eddie?
Well, Freddie was definitely different. Remember, he used to write that stuff on the board. He'd just walk in out of the blue and he'd write stuff on the board and turn around, walk away, and you'd be sitting there and you're looking at it. It didn't make any sense. Like, it totally didn't make any sense. Then you think about it, and you think about it. Then Mike would come in and he'd kind of clarify everything. He'd say, "Oh, okay," and he just went and played. But the thing I remember most about that team was the guys. I mean, we'd go to wars for each other, and we did, and we had some different guys. We had some characters, but it was I thought we were a very, very tight team, and everybody, like I said, we'd go to battle for each other.
Hey, Dave, question for you. One of our teammates on that team, Carol Vadney, who's passed away. You were close with him. How would you describe Carol? Because you were closer to him than most of us.
Yeah. Well, first of all, on the ice, one thing I can remember best about him is when I started playing with him. He said, "Listen, whenever you're on the ice and you get rid of the puck, put your stick up and protect yourself. And you put it up like this. So when the guy comes at you, then he's going to know. He's going to pay the price. Now, if he goes through the stick, you're probably on your own." No, I just think he was really, for me, we used to commute together. I visited him a couple times in the off season. He was probably the one guy. Gresh and I basically grew up together. We were the same age. Gresh was a couple years older, but Vad had been around. He won a cup, and so he to me was that veteran guy that I don't know if anybody else has an experience that there was one guy that, I don't know, he just kind of took you under his wing, and I respected him, and God rest his soul, and his wife Ramon, who battled cancer a long time, she's long gone also. So Michelle, daughter. So he was just, he was one of the guys that I think a lot of times, and maybe we all have a story like that. He was an older guy, didn't seem threatened by the fact that, I was a defenseman, and he did play the right side, obviously. But I wouldn't say that for a lot of those older guys when we got there, right, Gresh? It wasn't too warm and fuzzy when we were start of the generation. There were a lot more younger guys coming in.
And I think one thing about Vad was kind of like the Henry Lundqvist of today. The way he dressed.
He was always dressed well.
I don't think he ever had a tie that was out of place. I mean, we used to get up in the morning. You come down to the bus, and he was sitting there, and he was all dressed. Like, he was like, we were all dressed, but I mean, he was dressed.
Well, he kind of grew up in that Montreal, like Jean Beliveau, and the real dignity and class of the game. Yeah. And he dressed well. I mean, he would say, you dress well, you play well. And he was great.
You look good, you play good. Look good, play good.
Right. Anybody else have a story of?
Oh, Vad was fantastic to me. When I broke in the league in 80-81, his career was just winding down. And you're right, Dave, like you mentioned, I was the defenseman coming in. I mean, it wasn't like I was taking his job, but he was retiring, and I was going to have a job there. And he was unbelievable with me. Like, little things about, the stick guy would come in for Sherwood, and Vad would come into the room there and show me what I should have that big blade. I thought I was a stick handler back then and I have a smaller blade. And he my French accent to, no, Tommy, you get the big blade there, And he was fantastic. And even when he got into he started coaching us too when he retired, he just, man, he treated me like I was really, he gave me so much confidence because I could tell that he believed in me and I was worth his time to actually spend time with me and help me with my game and so much. And Gresh and I have told a funny story. We had a game.
Winnipeg.
And it was awful in some ways, but it was, we had a game in Winnipeg. It was one of those games we've all been a part of. And every time we stepped on the ice, it seemed like the puck was going in the net. And it was like, I don't know, it was the second period. And every time, Vad was trying to be calm and teach guys, the teaching moment and everything. A goal had been scored. I think Gresh and I then went out on the ice. They scored on us again. We come back to the bench and Vad hadn't seen the goal because he was trying to help somebody else. So he turns to me he treated me so well. He said, Tommy, what happened out there? And I'm all frustrated and everything. I go, Vad, the puck went in the net. There's a few other choice words in there. And I didn't intend to, but I devastated him, he was almost in tears because he was being so good to me. And I snapped back at him. And Gresh was sitting there right beside me. And Gresh looked at me like, Tom, jeez. I went to the game and apologized to him. And he was in tears because he had cared so much about me. And here I was kind of snapping at him like that. He understood that it was the heat of the moment, but I felt terrible about it. I apologized. And he was fantastic to me. I'll never forget how good he was for me. We had
with Vad one time, we were, there was a little bar called the Digs in Long Beach. So we were having drinks and he goes to me, he goes, what are you doing? Now we've been there, the races are going on over at Roosevelt Field.
Yeah.
Vad goes, come on, you're coming with me. I said, okay. So we've been there since lunchtime. And this is a little bit later, like around 6:30 or whatever. We get in the car and we're taking that road, where that Meadowbrook Parkway, I think it was called.
Yeah.
So Vad's driving and he's trying to get the change out of his pocket. And he runs into the car in front of us. So they call the cop. Guess who comes? The cop friends happened to be somebody I knew. So he told the other guy to go. I drove and he made Vad go in the passenger seat. Went to Roosevelt. Never saw Vad the rest of the night. He was down by the corner talking to those
French
Filions? Were they the Filions?
Yeah.
Talking to Filions, getting race tips and going up and saying to me, I had no idea what to bet. He goes, bet this horse, bet this horse, bet this horse, and then bet them together. I'm going, bet them together? How do you bet horses together? And I end up winning money.
Yeah.
We went back. I dropped them off, and I went back to the Digs.
There you go.
I roomed with Vad for a while there, and I used to drive him nuts. He would, when we got in the room, first thing he did was opened up his suitcase, took everything out. Socks went here, underwear went here, his shirts, they were all dry cleaned. They were all the band around him. They were in this drawer, and we go out for dinner, and Vad and a bunch of the older guys, they go kind of their way, and the bunch of us would go the other way. And I was usually back in the room before him, and I used to take his underwear and his socks, and I used to switch them. And he'd come in, and next morning he'd get up, and I could just hear him, Siggy! He's just screaming at me. And I said, what's going on, Dad? He said, well, you touch my stuff. And I said, no. I said, I make it better. Then I come back into the room, and here he is, his big cigar hanging out of his mouth with the ironing board in his tighty whities, ironing his shorts. That was a good team guy, though. I'll tell you what, didn't get any better.
Yeah, it was good.
I remember, hey, Gresh, remember when he used to organize the dinners, right? And regardless, I remember too. And he went, the dinners were in those days top shelf. Would be like one of the top places in town. And regardless of what you had, you pay. You pay to split it up every way. And that's what he said. Yeah. Make sure you order what you want because you're going to pay for everybody else.
Yeah.
It was good.
Doesn't matter if you have a steak or a salad, it costs you the same.
Same, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing too. And I don't think enough young guys now get the experience. Well, Gresh wasn't there very long. Duke never went there. Eddie and I spent some time in the minor leagues. Tommy, you didn't spend any time in the minors, right?
No.
Just remember that group Gresh in Providence? Well, Kenny Campbell and there was Norm Normie Davis and Wayne.
Normie Dennis.
Yeah, Normie
Yeah.
Dennis, Wayne Chernicki. These guys,
John Benarski.
Benarski. These guys have been like career minor leaguers.
Wasn't Joe Sanusi down there too?
Gentleman Joe, he went the next year. He was there, and then he went the next year in the VAD trade, and Phil and Brad and John Rattel.
Yeah,
but they were. I remember. I don't know. And Gresh, you and I were by far the youngest. Like there was Teeple, Pierre Lagunier. Was he there when you were there? Eddie?
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, Pierre Lagunier, and all these guys had been career minor leaguers. So Gresh, were you there when they took us to the Narragansett Brewery?
No, I left there Halloween.
Yeah, so there was Narragansett was the
I
local
had to
brewery.
drive your car back from the party. Remember?
Oh, I don't remember. That's why you were driving. But they take us last one. They take us to the Narragansett was the local brewery. It's a big old time brewery, and it was. They take us through a tour of all the vats and the different brewing lessons. Then they have a big kind of dining area where they literally had taps out of these big kegs where you just pour your beer. I remember like Kenny Campbell down there and just didn't even have the glass, just had it funneled right into it was for an 18-year-old guy from Lindsay, Ontario, it was just overwhelming.
Dukes, you never went to the minors, did you?
No.
He was supposed to.
Oh, that's right. Yes. We talked about that, yeah.
Those guys are down in the minors now. They're escaping.
I played 2 games in the minors, and I volunteered to go. I was coming off an injury, and it was on my return, I think my second time around to New York, and I'd coming off an injury, and I heard Espo talking about their short players down in Colorado. And I said, I'll go for a couple of games, and Pete Mahovlich was the coach. And so that was my experience. It was only 2 days, and I think by then the game had changed, how it was played in the minors. And that's why I was going to ask you, David Gresh. In the mid-'70s, where goon hockey was at its height, what was it like for you guys playing down there? Was it like, oh my God, I can't wait to make it to the NHL?
We played a game in the last game I played was Syracuse, in Syracuse, in an old rink there, and they had like 15, 17 players, and like 9 of them couldn't even skate. They were all fighters. They were like we killed. We had a good a lot of young guys and good players, and we killed them. Like it was like it wasn't even close. And then, but it was the bus rides. I go to my sister was pregnant, and when I got sent down in October or end of September, and I told her I'm not back up at the end of October. I'm going back to work for my father in Saskatchewan, because I rode enough buses in the West.
Right.
You'd go on an 11-game, 13-day road trip, and you slept on the bus, and that was, you stayed in a hotel a couple of times here and there, but not very often.
Eddie, you got into coaching for a while there too, didn't you?
Yeah, that was when I retired in '86. I think it was. I got right into coaching right away, and I coached. I started coaching junior, and we did pretty well. I had some good teams. Won a couple Canadian championships in Tier 2 junior, and then I figured I'd give pro a shot, so I did. I from 92 to 2000. It was good, but I was kind of getting tired of getting fired because I was right. It was one of those things where everybody just I didn't like the players. I didn't like the way they played. And it wasn't I didn't like the way they played. They didn't play the way they were capable of playing. It was a job instead of doing it because you love to do it. It was how much money can you pay me? And that cost me a few jobs along the way. And I said, about 2001, I said, that's enough. Went back to work construction.
Did you coach like Herbie Brooks or what?
Nope. I was, if you worked hard, that was your best friend. If you didn't work hard, we really didn't get along that well. And that was the biggest change I found was I had to kind of tone it down because not everybody played the way I played. And I didn't expect them to do that. But I expected them to play to their capabilities. And I really tried to put you in a position to succeed, not fail. And I still have kids that I coached junior here in Vernon in 87, 88. And I still talk to them on a regular basis. And one's up in Prince George and others down south. And we had a really good relationship with a bunch of those kids. And some of them, Mikey Dennis, I know, Dave, you were talking about Normie Dennis. It's Normie's boy.
Oh, wow.
I had him, yeah. And as a matter of fact, I saw Normie talk to him here about 4 or 5 months ago over in Trail. Yeah, he's still over there.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was great. I loved it. I got up as high as the American League, assistant coach in Cincinnati. And the players just changed. It was the game was changing, and the players were changing. They really just kind of did their own thing. That always bothered me when I seen 3 or 4 guys going here, and 4 or 5 guys going here to eat. Nobody ever did anything together, and they come out of the locker room. We just get beat. Didn't play well, and they're laughing and joking, and where are we going to go to dinner? Blah 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 blah. That was kind of the beginning of the end for me when I started seeing that happen.
Well, Dukes, you coached too, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Here in Jacksonville, I coached. There was a minor league team here. I was actually playing a few games because I was wanting to challenge myself to see if I could still play. I'm well into my 40s, and so I played a few games, and they fired the coach and asked me to take over. And I really didn't have any experience other than teaching youth hockey. And so they'd asked me to do it, and there was only 12 games to go in the season. And I thought, well, I got nothing to lose because it's a losing season. It'll give me an opportunity to test myself to see what I have in me. And it's a funny thing because I get news the night before, but the day before or the week before, a couple of weeks before, I'm with these guys, I'm playing, and I'm partying with them. And next thing you know, I'm their coach. And now all of a sudden I wake up in the morning and I put my coach's hat on. And some stuff started to come out of me, and I'm like, during this first practice, oh my God, where's this coming from? Right? All the guys are looking at me like, wait, Dukes, what? Who are you right now? And so I kind of knew how to fix some of the problems. So I enjoyed the part of being able to identify problems and be able to fix it. And then the following season, I started fresh, got some new players, got the players like Eddie is talking about, the type of players I wanted to get. And like Eddie, I was going to ask Eddie what kind of game did he play, because he was influenced by Freddie Shero. And then you got Herb Brooks, which one is a dump and chase, and the other guy is puck control. And so I like puck control because I ended up scoring 40 goals under Herb Brooks and playing with Pavlis and all that. So I implemented that game, and right out of the gate, I won a championship. That first season, I won a championship. So I got what I wanted out of it, and I did it for 4 years. But like what Eddie says, at the minor league level, it sucks the life out of you, because I was actually coaching and managing, and there's always problems, always issues. The players, it's not a quality player. And so after 4 years, I'd had enough. And then after that, and I think it was, I'm happy I did it, because then I started doing television for MSG, and it helped me to kind of know and understand what a coach is really thinking. And so as an analyst, it helps you not only as a player, but as a coach. So I did it for 4 years. I won a championship, got some good stuff out of it, but it was also, it's not easy. It's hard. It sucks the life out of you, because as a player, if you lose a game, it's just you. But if you're a coach, I mean, it just, as a player, you can get rid of it, right? But as a coach, you just think about it 24/7. When you win, but when you lose, oh my God, it's always thinking about something.
Did you have a curfew for your team, or was it the same curfew you had when you played?
It was no curfew as long as they were winning. But if they were losing, then we had to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know.
Hey guys, we were trying to get Nicky on today, and I think it was Grasha was picking on him, spreading the word that he couldn't start the computer. So we won't. That's just between us, so we won't tell anybody else that. But
well, does anybody know who had adopted Nicky back in the early '80s?
Well, the rumor is that Nicky was adopted by Herb Brooks. Now I don't know how that started.
I don't know how that's. I don't know.
But, well, listen, it kind of makes sense, because Herbie used him as the fine master.
Yes. Yeah.
And Herbie used him to send another player a message.
Yeah.
Because I know Herbie sent a message to me through Nick.
Right.
So I'm thinking, what's going on between
Yeah, I remember you said that last week, Dukes. It started me thinking, like, geez, maybe actually Herbie had adopted Nicky. And that was
I think he did.
Son.
I saw that Patillo/Brooks on his name one time on his locker.
What?
Well, we'll have to have him on. We'll get him on next week. Yeah. We need to discuss this.
But this would be a great opportunity to talk about him behind his back, I think, too, probably, right? So I remember the time,
do not call him pie face.
No, I remember the time where so Nicky had this red and white checkered shirt that he just loved. He wore all the time. And somebody on this group here, I don't know who it was, always would tease him, made him look like it was an Italian, like a tablecloth at an Italian restaurant. So
that would be Gresh.
Yeah, that would be Gresh. That wouldn't be.
It might have been Gresh.
I wasn't teasing Nick.
So Gresh had the trainer go up to one day, go up to the local store there and get like a salt and pepper shaker and the flour and the whole bit. And Nick was out in the ice, and Gresh was hurt or whatever. So he sets up with at a table, round table in the middle of the locker room with Rye Playland, our practice rig. Gresh gets the shirt, puts it out there like the tablecloth, gets salt and pepper shaker and everything, and leaves it there in the middle of the
lunch for two.
Oh God, it was so funny because whenever like Nicky was great at practical jokes, but if you guys remember, if you ever got Nicky, it was funny because everybody would wait to see what Nicky's reaction was, and then everybody would scatter out of the room, right? So everybody's taking off the room.
That day, I had my shoulder was separated.
Yeah.
So I do this thing, and Nicky comes in the room. He doesn't look at one guy.
Yeah.
He goes right after me. I look like Hopalong Casey's trying to get away from him, and he grabs the end of my nose and he pinched it, and the whole thing went black. And he thought it was funny. He thought it was funny. I was going like, okay, that's great. Well, it didn't make a difference on the ice. It looked like he lost a war or something. That's it. But I wasn't playing. And you go to a bar and somebody go, "What's wrong with your nose?" Nothing.
They still say that, don't they?
They still ask me what's wrong. Well, how big it is, yeah. But,
I remember, like Eddie said, I roomed with him. In my memory, you had to sleep with one eye open, right? So like, all right, what is he doing? Do you remember the story? What Billy Goldsworthy? You remember that story in Toronto?
No. Yeah, the Harbor Castle.
Right? Yeah, the Harbor Castle. So he's rooming with Billy Goldsworthy, and God rest his soul. And Billy was kind of an antsy guy, right? Nervous guy, and stuff like that. So Nick gets up to the room first, right? Lays his clothes all out on the bed, goes and turns on the shower, and hops in the closet, right? So Goldsworthy comes in, hears the shower, sees Nick's clothes, goes to hang his coat up in the closet.
Do you know the lobster one?
Yeah, same thing, right?
Nicky would have like 2 beers, and that was it. Nicky was never a big drinker, right?
Right.
So we're out. We get back to the Harbor Castle. Nicky goes to me, "Go talk to the security guard." Like I'm gonna go talk. I'm going to bed. We got a game tomorrow. It's like He goes, "Go talk to the security guard. Get his attention." He reaches up. They had a big fish tank there with the lobsters in. He reaches in and grabs a lobster out of the fish tank, and I got the guy talking. When they go upstairs, I think Alfie and Anders end up being in the hallway or something. He goes in, he puts it on, takes the little clamps off, puts it on Goldsworthy's chest and starts tickling his feet. He woke up, there was lobster all over down the it was a big one too. Oh my God. He was like,
how about Nicky with the hairdryer with putting the baby powder in the hairdryer?
Yeah.
So I love that joke. I thought that was hilarious. But Nicky was smart, right? He never let anybody. Well, you knew it was him, but you never knew for sure it was him. But I loved it so much. One time I thought I was going to be a real smart guy. Before a game at Madison Square Garden, it was when Ted Sater was coaching, and the assistant coach was this Jack Birch. So I decided I was going to be smart, and I was going to put the baby powder in the hairdryer before the game. But I forgot that this Jack Birch had this whole little routine where he was the coach that would go up in the sky. And he would work out, he'd shower, put his contact lenses in, and then he'd go dry his hair. So we're just about like 30 seconds. We're just about to go on the ice for the start of the game. He goes through this whole routine, goes to blow dry his hair. I hear the hairdryer going on. I'm thinking, oh my God.
Laidlaw!
Got the baby powder all over him in contacts and everything. He's screaming, Laidlaw, I'm going to kill you.
I remember that.
Oh man, I thought I was
never saw Tommy run the ice so fast.
Oh God.
So just one last thing too for me, like fast forward. So I'm working with the network and stuff, and we're in Boston. right? So in the games, you go whatever time, and they have the press room. And Boston happens to have pretty good food in the press room, right? So I have my valise and bag sitting on the chair, right? So I go up, and it's kind of buffet feel. Come back, eat my thing, and of course Nicky's in the room, right? So when I go to leave, I go to put the valise over my shoulder. He had tied it to the chair. So when I threw the bag up, the chair flew up. So that's that's 25 years later. He's still got it. He's still got it. He's awesome.
We played it.
What's the boxer's name that he's good friends with? Oh, geez, I can't remember now.
Jerry Cooney?
From Long Island.
Jerry Cooney.
Jerry Cooney. So Nicky's sitting with like 6 police officers at a table, and Cooney's on the dais, right? So this is like about 5 or 6 years ago. He goes and puts ketchup on his shoes. So he's walking by the thing, and the guy's going, "Hey, how you doing? How you doing?" And he's going, "Hey, good." And somebody goes, "You better check your shoe." He looked down, and he looked at the shoe, and he was like, looked at Nicky, and he was very upset. I can't use the words, right, Tom?
Yes.
So,
good job, Ron.
So anyway, he walking away, and Nick and the other guy hollers, "You should check the other shoe too." He looked down. I don't think he still talks to Fatile. And he got him good though.
I'll tell you one thing, and my last comment about him, he was one of the top athletes I think I ever played with. If that guy could have played hockey like the rest of us growing up,
Wolf.
He only started playing when he was like 13 or 14.
15 years old.
Remember, he could skate like the wind, and he could shoot the puck as well as anybody. And if he was standing still, he could pass it.
Yeah.
But he never just played enough to put that all together. He would have been.
Dave, I don't know if you remember this or not, but you and I were partners playing together. And Nicky had this thing, especially at the Garden. If you ever passed the puck up to him in the neutral zone, he would want to swing back and get this big loop going, and then get speed. And, the whole Garden crowd's going crazy because Nicky's got the puck. But it drove Herb nuts. Like Herb be on the bench and just screaming at him, "No, go forward, go forward." So I was younger than you, obviously, and I'm going, "Dave, what do we do?" Like we were passing the puck back and forth, or we're on the bench or something talking about it. And Dave's going, "No, pass it to Nicky because we want to see Herbie going nuts." Nicky a purpose up the center ice. He comes swooping back, and the crowd's going nuts, and Herbie's screaming and frothing at the mouth and everything. Oh God, that was funny, man.
Whenever we practiced there, I used to bust Nicky, and say, if they open up the gates for the Zambonis, you'll end up in the post office on 8th Avenue. And you shoot the puck at me. That was it.
How about the one where Herbie called Bubba a coward or something? Remember that story?
That was in Playland.
Yeah, Herbie tried to get under Bubba's skin there. Bubba was hurt or whatever, and Herbie made some comment to the newspapers or on TV that he called Bubba a coward. And Bubba came to practice. We're all out there. Bubba was hurt, so he grabs I guess all the sticks are in a big garbage can or something like that. And Bubba grabs the garbage can, throws all the sticks out in the ice in the middle of practice, and starts yelling at Herbie. And what did Nicky say to him? He says, "Bubba, he didn't call you a coward. He called you a cowhead." What's that story? Funny man.
Yeah, Dave, to comment on Nicky, I think Nicky's mindset every time he stepped on the ice, he was strung up so tight because he's always thinking, "Who am I going to fight tonight?" That I think when he stepped on the ice, he was just uptight. He was going 100 miles an hour. Had he played like in today's game, he'd be a lot more relaxed because he was a little bit stiff, managing what he did. I think if he wasn't thinking, "Who am I fighting tonight?" all the time, that it might have calmed him down a little bit.
But I just think, boy, he just he really hadn't played enough.
Yeah,
he didn't have those basic fundamentals.
Yeah, we all grew up like he was really. I remember like skill, like any individual skill drill.
Yeah.
Like shooting, even like passing, it's right on the stick. Skating. The guy could fly.
Yeah.
But then when you had to kind of put it all together, I just think that if he had ever grown up like we all grew up,
I agree.
would have been.
So Dave,
if you ever want to be really seriously bored, it's sitting between him and Brad Park.
Oh. Yeah.
Holy God Almighty! I just said God, right? Tom?
Yeah, that's good. Good job.
I sat one time between them, and I napped for an hour and a half. I woke up; they were still talking plays. I go, "Are you guys done yet? We drank a bottle of tequila. You You guys are like still in you're still in the defensive zone. Can you go to the offensive zone? Oh.
Yeah. Joe, if there's any kind of napkins or paper around, throw it away. Otherwise, they're taking a napkin out.
Oh yeah, and any magic markers because he gets them going in there, boy. I'll tell you, he loves the game. I mean, Dave is right. If he could have grew up in Ontario or out west or whatever, and Quebec, whatever, and had those years between the ages of 6 and 15, all the fundamentals of the game, he would have been a scary player. But because he was pretty scary the way it was. I mean, back in the 70s, I'm not sure if Dukes was there yet when him and Holgram used to fight.
Yeah.
I know Eddie was there and Dave and that, but oh my God, they were like nobody wanted nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the biggest guy. Like he wasn't 6'5" or anything like that. But he would throw him, boy. And he looked forward to playing in Philly because he knew he was going to get a lot of ice time.
Yeah.
He was going to get his 20 minutes in Philly.
Yeah, but he spent a lot of time boxing in the gym, didn't he?
Yeah, right.
Nick?
He was a Golden Gloves boxer, wasn't he?
Yeah. He's Golden Gloves.
But he did some. There's a lot of stories I can't tell. But if we could do this, some of the things that like I was with him. Some of the things he did. Honest to God, you had to really glad it wasn't you.
Yeah,
you're happy that you were his friend.
Yeah,
put it that way.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Gresh, I'm going to ask you because this comes up a lot when we talk about us losing to Montreal in the finals.
Yeah.
Freddie decides not to play Nicky.
Yeah.
Thinking now, looking back, would you have played Nicky?
Absolutely. After the first game, and then I think Dave, you scored in that game, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and you scored in that game. But that was the last time that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that if they changed their lineup, they put Chartres in and all those guys in, and they changed their game because they weren't. They did the first game. Montreal didn't even play. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from us, but then they put those guys in and they start bumping a little more. And Nicky had kind of that thing about him that everything was more calm. Leave him alone. Don't touch him. Nothing's going to happen, like that kind of thing. But like you said before, Nicky, when he gets the puck, he winds it up. He wants to go, and he could have probably made a difference, But that's like I think he did in the Philadelphia series. He didn't play in the Islanders series, but he did in the Philly series.
Right.
Good. Hey, Eddie, what do you think of the game today, Eddie? What do you think of the National Hockey League today, the way the players play?
Well, I think that it's the game's a little better. I think number one, I think the athletes better because hell, they don't have to work in summertime. They don't do anything except go train, which they do, and I think they stay in way better shape than what we did, and they're bigger, they're stronger. I don't think they play with the heart that we did back in our day. I think it's more of it's a business now, and it's I don't know. It's frustrating sometimes because you see some games where they're banging and they're crashing and they're still skating and they're still playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. And in other games, as you go to sleep because nobody touches anybody, and then when you do touch somebody, you get a penalty. And then, God forbid, that guy happens to fall down because then there's two guys on his team. They're jumping on you. That's not the way the game's supposed to be played.
So other than that, you like it though?
I think so. I think it's faster. And
Faster.
Yeah. Well, everything's faster when you look at it, Gresh, isn't it?
It is. But it didn't matter to me. I had the puck, so it didn't really bother me.
That's right. You did do that, okay.
Listen, Dave, one of our old teammates is watching us right now.
Uh-oh.
Who's that?
Nifty.
Oh yeah,
Ricky. Yeah.
Oh,
Ricky
sorry.
That was a
Middleton?
good trade. That was a good trade.
Yeah, that worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah.
What was that trade?
Ricky Middleton for Ken Hodge.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And then Hodge came to New York and he didn't want anything to do with playing anymore. But that's what I remember. He was one of the very few guys you're like, really? For me anyway. He was not here long, but you know what? And then Rick, see, to me, Rick is another really good story on so many guys who an opinion gets formed right away, and you don't allow them to kind of mature a little bit, or whether it's whatever it is, whatever it involves, So, and then his numbers up in the rafters in Boston, and we talked a little bit about it last week, how many good players have come through our franchise, and really they were there for a cup of coffee before they were moved somewhere else.
Yeah, that is true. You got to be patient with a player and really let him develop. Right? Do anything like I think player development. Such they talk about the draft being such a big deal and everything, but I think it is important, obviously, too. But having a place where the players can go and really develop too, right? Do they need more time in the minors? Don't rush them. Detroit was famous for that for a long time and had a long run there, staying in the playoffs. So I think that's a big part of it. Like it's not just the ability to draft that right player, but make sure he's got a good place to go play.
Well, that's the thing. They don't send us to the minors anymore. You either most of them just go straight up. First round, second round, even lots of third rounders.
Yeah,
because they make enough money, or they're making too much money, so they got to play them. They can't afford to send them down. Whereas, like you say with Detroit, I played with Adam Oates down there, and he signed $1 million contract with Detroit, and they sent him right straight down. It came down to Adirondack, and Oates just sits beside me, and I said, "Hey, Oates, he's in college. He's going to learn how to play the game again. Because I don't understand why I'm making all this money and I'm playing in the minors." I said, "Hey, just learn," and he turned out pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. Dukes, what was your first salary playing in the National Hockey League?
My first what?
What was your first salary playing in the National Hockey League? How much you make your first year?
It was $100,000 signing bonus.
Wow.
75,000, 80 and 85.
That was pretty good back then.
The good news after my first year, after making 75, my accountant brings me in. He says, "Good news, bad news. You made 75,000 the first time in your lifetime. Bad news, you spent 85,000."
Yeah.
And that was with hanging out with Donnie Murdoch.
Now, Dave, I do need to question your intelligence a little bit. I'm sorry, Dave, but I'm going to jump on you a little bit. How would you possibly have made the decision to allow me and Chris Katsopoulos to rent your apartment my first year in the National Hockey League? What were you thinking about?
Well, in those days, you used to get funding from the government to hire immigrants. No, I don't know. I do think about that. It's funny. I was talking to somebody last week, and they were asking about a relationship and how it went back, and I said, really, I for sure, my wife at that time didn't know that you guys were in there. She must. But no, it was two young guys and whatever.
She, poor woman, she came over at one point just to check out things, make sure everything was. And I was like, "Oh God, no!" Because it was a mess. It was like nothing was broken, but it was just a filthy mess. And she's probably looking like,
"How long did it take you to clean the place?" That's
the thing. Well, those hazmat suits that the medical people are wearing now—that's what we had to have going into that place. With those two guys in there.
Oh my God! Imagine that. Oh my.
Awful.
So
my room was clean. It was Kotze's room.
So I remember because our draft, the '74 draft, was the draft, right, Gresh, where us young guys kind of messed it up for Gresh.
Yeah, well,
Gresh was a legitimate first-round player. Legitimate. Like I've read some of the Hockey News scouting reports going back to those, and Gresh at one point was like top 10.
Yeah,
his last year junior.
Right.
So if you recall, right, Eddie, in that year, because the World Hockey then was kind of an influence on World Hockey was signing a bunch of young guys.
Yeah,
Mike Gartner and Ken Linsman and Mike Ramage and
John Tonelli.
Tonelli was around that time.
Right, top guys that were turning 18.
Patty Price.
Yeah. So the NHL decide that they're going to have a draft where each team could take one underage pick, and that pick had to be in the first round, or first two rounds, right? Because there, I've often thought about my good pal Gresh. Gresh probably should have been where I was, and it would have been around if it had been a normal draft. But then, but I remember my signing bonus was I was 18, and I just turned 18 that July. The draft is in March. I had a $250,000 signing bonus, and I made 45 in the minors, And then the next year was 75, 85, one-way contract. That goes back to Normie Dennis. Those guys were making like 20.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
That was scary.
One of our
Dave, would you say your signing bonus was?
250 grand.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I got 150. I got 150 for being second round.
So our old buddy Bernard Ryan says that back then the Hockey News was written on stone tablets. I'm not quite sure everybody.
Yeah, it was like the
How
guy.
does he know he can't read?
Yeah, no, I do remember that. And honest to God, Gresh, I've never ever talked to Gresh about this, but I do feel like that was a guy that got, for us young guys coming in, Gresh paid the price, but he played longer.
I'm only a year. What am I? Year older than you are?
Yeah, you're in December. You're in December of what? 54.
54.
Yeah, I'm July of 56. So like a year and a half.
Year and a half. Yeah, but listen to me. I had a chance when I was 17 to sign with the Cincinnati Stingers, I think they were called.
Is that where you ended up, Eddie? Weren't you there?
What's that?
You played in Cincinnati, didn't you?
No, I played for Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
So I had a chance to play there. They offered me $100,000 or $1 million for 10 years. I go, I'm not going to World Hockey. I played my whole life to play in the NHL. I'm not.
Yeah.
Vancouver. I think it was the Vancouver Blazers. Was it Vancouver Blazers?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And I played right there. I mean, the team. The funny thing is, I think my last year junior, the team that the Canucks had, we could have probably beat them.
Yeah.
Because there was. I know the team that Medicine had the year before.
Yeah.
Lysiak, McDonald, all those guys.
Lysiak, Boyd Anderson.
Yeah.
Boyd, Herbie. There was Eddie was on there, and then they had McCrimmon and Gassoff on defense.
Oh my God.
And it was like when you came down the ice, you were going like, what's the chances of me going around this guys? If you do, they're going to hack you to death.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Dukes has got to run in about 5 minutes here. We got anything we want to pick on him about or anything like that? Give him a hard time before he leaves or what?
Well, what I want to know,
who's the maid before?
Yeah, where's the agency? What agency are you using for your maid service?
Yeah. Send
And
me the
sometimes it has. I need service twice a day now. It's getting.
number. Yeah. Oh, stop bragging.
Yeah.
You guys maintain the social distancing though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, no.
Hey, so I'm gonna ask a question because we're all old school. And watching today's game, I'm being asked, do I still like the shootout to end a game? Do you guys? What are your thoughts on still watching a shootout to watch a game? Because I love 3-on-3. 3-on-3 is awesome. Would you prefer 3-on-3 to continue or go to the shootout?
I think go to the shootout. I thought I didn't ever think I would say this, but you see some of these players now doing like scoring goals in between their legs, shooting the puck in between the legs and all that kinds of stuff. Like I always thought that's you don't do that kind of stuff. But you know what? It's working, and I think the fans love it. And for what I see, the fans they love the 3-on-3, but it also they love the shootout as well. So I think anything that we're doing with the game now that makes it more interesting for the fans and the casual fan to now get more interested in the game, I think is better for the game. So I like it. I'm
going to make a bet right now that Tom, you're going to lose on this one on the rest of us. I don't know what everyone else is going to say. Okay. I say I don't like the shootout. Let's see what everyone else says.
Fire away.
I don't like it because lots of times the guys who were the real foot soldiers for the 60 minutes for the 60 minutes are no factor in the 3-on-3 and the shootout. So that eliminates, and as far as the skills, there's no question fans like it. Rarely, there's nobody sitting in their seat during the shootout.
Right.
There's no question that fans like it. But I don't like, I know there's all kinds of fancy moves now, and that lacrosse move behind the net and stuff like that. Gresh or Eddie, what kind of price would we have, or even Duke, what kind of price would you pay to make that move? You might get away with it once.
Yeah.
You get away with it again.
No,
you'd have been on spitting chiclets early.
I just think there's to me the biggest point is the guy like on the Rangers now, like a guy like Mark Stahl. Mark Stahl is a very, very valuable player for 60 minutes. But there are going to be games he's not even going to be a factor in the outcome.
Somehow if I was a goaltender, I would want to shoot out if Tom was shooting against me.
I had one breakaway in my whole career, hit the goalie right in the chest. I want to make sure I didn't miss the net, so I fired right in the
Slap
middle.
it or did you slap it?
No.
It's not easy to get the puck up that high either.
Yeah,
For you.
no.
Eddie, what do you think, Eddie? Shootout or 3-on-3?
Well, I got to agree with Davey. I think that that the so-called foot soldiers, they don't even play a factor in it. And I don't mind watching the shootout because it's that, like Dave said, that gets the fans excited and all that stuff. But whatever happens is ending in a tie.
Yeah, that's another. I agree.
I mean, it's you work your ass off for 60 minutes, and then you lose in the shootout or you lose in overtime.
Listen, I don't mind either one of them, but I think what they should do is if you lose the game, you lose the game. I don't think you should get a point.
Right.
Well, then call it a tie, then crash.
What? Well, no, if you're going to play overtime in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They play overtime. The team that loses doesn't get a half a game.
Yeah.
But there's no shootouts. There's no shootouts there.
No, I'm just saying there's no an overtime if you play the overtime and do the shootout, the team that loses it gets nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you wouldn't see the end of the game, the last 5 minutes of the game, dump it in, dump it out, dump it in, like a tennis game. Yeah. You would see people trying to win the game outright, or you have to win if there's no extra points, because teams get like 100 points and are like 7 games over 500.
But that's the same for everybody, though. Everybody in the league's got. It's not like it's unfair to somebody.
No, it's not unfair. But you have a win or a loss.
Well,
if you're not going to do the tie,
take a look at the calendar. It's not 1980 anymore.
It's not. It's not. So you win or you lose.
Yeah, it's for the fans. You guys are all wrong.
4 out of 5 are wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Tommy, that's good. If we move this thing forward, we should have one question a week.
I like that.
Take it from take it from anybody that's queuing in, and we all kind of come up with something or whatever.
And we can have a little
debate. None of you guys are from Windsor, are you?
We'll have a debate about it.
Okay.
All right. Dude, are you leaving soon? Dude, are you leaving soon?
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go check on the cleaning on the other side of the room. The house.
Right, you're gonna do the kitchen?
Don't wake Dukes up right now.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do this next week again.
Yes, we will.
All right, take care. Have a good week, bro.
See you,
Dukes.
Dukes.
Good seeing you again.
All right, now we can talk about Dukes behind his back. No, I like the idea of having that question, Dave, because I think it's, and I'm with you guys. Listen, as far as a pure hockey standpoint for the shootout, I mean, I don't like either, but I just look at it from the business side as far as the fans coming to see it. So I know you feel the same way.
Well, I would rather leave the shootout in than the puck being shot over the boards, only in one end.
So to my point, go ahead. I'm sorry, Gresh.
No, I just said if you're going to dump the puck over the boards, why shouldn't there be a penalty? Doesn't matter where you are on the ice.
Well, because in the old days, one of my favorite plays was if I was in trouble, I just shoot over the glass.
Yeah. You couldn't raise it that
way. But that's to answer your question, Grace. That's the reason why they changed the rule. It was in the defensive zone, guys were shooting over the glass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You listen to Kotze too much. You listen to Kotze's arguments too much.
No, I don't listen to anybody. I'm just saying I think it should be anytime you get the puck out of play, it should be a penalty. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, just on that, the last point, when the Rangers missed the playoffs that one year, was 10-11, and they came down to game 82 against the Flyers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The best 3 players of the 60 minutes were, Jody Shelley was one of them. It was the 4th rotation, 4th line. They were the most effective line that whole game. And they were not going to have a chance at all in the outcome. Yeah. So that was the point there. But there's no question, people watch. Yeah. It's the same as a fight, right? Like the fights that are still happening, people don't turn away when the fight's on.
No.
Yeah.
No. So.
No, I agree. Well, Siggy, it was great to see you again.
Hey, it's always a pleasure.
We're going to have you back on again soon.
That would be nice. David?
Were you like having to go like do some push-ups or something? We lost you a couple times. Were you working out or what were you doing?
Me?
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Good. And Gresh, from now on, if anybody out here listening, if you guys have any IT questions or concerns at all with your computers, you can call Ron Greshner.
Yeah.
The way he figures things out.
I'll text you the number.
Yeah.
That's great, Tommy. Thanks for doing this. Eddie, you're looking great, bro. And down the road, see you. And Gresh and Tommy, my next career, I'm now working at a wine and liquor store in town.
All right. Excellent. Which one, Dave?
Continental Wines and Spirits, right in central town.
I'll be there. I'll be there to visit.
What's the where's that at? What's
right? It's right by the hospital, Greenwich Hospital.
Oh,
it's right.
I have to get a bottle of Jack. My friend Jack ran away, so I can't find him.
I'll be in there Monday night, so stop by.
I can't find Jack anywhere. He left.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. We'll be back in there.
Guys. Thanks, Tommy. Gresh, great to see you, dude.
Take care.
You too, my friends. Okay, take care. Okay, bye.
Guys. Bye now.
Bye.